All right, that's enough of that intro screen. Welcome everybody. I got to get some stuff figured out. Um, bear with me. Feel free to jump in here. Um, I've got to figure out the real Kirk is missing in action. If things seem a little messed up, it's because they are. So let me pull up the feed everywhere so I can see what's happening. I'm trying to wear the real Kirk's hat, and it's a large hat, and it might not fit quite as well as it sometimes does. So bear with me. Feel free to poke fun at me. The biggest thing I'm looking for right now is confirmation of sound. Let me know. Let's see here. This makes for some good stuff. So the first segment of all these shows, as our repeat listeners know, is current events. So the current event right now is that currently I'm trying to figure some stuff out. So help me out. Oh, there we go. Look at that. Yeah. Okay. All right. I think I got it. If you find me in one stream and the sound sounds bad, and I'm not responding to the chat there, then by all means, please, I would implore you even, contact me another way. So with that, I think that I see a live feed on YouTube and Facebook, which is what we do. It's time to start recording. So there we go. And we're recording. So here's the show. Welcome to the Prepped Pastors Podcast. And in this episode, it's just the Prepped Pastor Podcast because, as you can see, I am here all by myself. Which, for those of you that know me, I don't have to have others to have conversations. I can easily have conversations all by myself, and they're entertaining to me. So, current events. Today is the 19th of November, and there's only really two events happening in the entire world right now, correct? Kyle Rittenhouse has been found innocent of all charges. Not some, all. I haven't seen yet. Is Kenosha burning? Threats from the terrorist organizations are that they're going to burn Kenosha down. So I don't know if that's happening or not yet. I haven't heard if there are terroristic rioting happening right now or not elsewhere, so I'm not sure. Let me know. If we should know, then let me know. But the threat was certainly that they were going to burn it all down, and how dare anyone find that poor 17-year-old child innocent? How dare they? So that's the big news. The other big news I heard and have not checked into in great length. The big news is that President Biden's um, astronomical spending bill was passed supposedly by some narrow margin, and I don't have a ton of confirmation of that. So surely that will have significance to any one who considers themselves a part of the prepping community or anyone who is preparing for difficult times. Difficult times will be ahead as inflation will continue to skyrocket out of control and federal money will continue to be spent in ridiculously irresponsible ways. So that's what's coming. We all have that to look forward to. It's good to have things to look forward to in life, right? Let's see here. Who do we need to check in with? So on the show today, you are not going to have to listen to me talk nonstop. We have a special segment planned. The real Kirk, um, sometime back, I could think it was a couple of weeks ago, filmed a segment where I'm trying to, I didn't catch from the real Kirk who the person is. I have not watched this video yet, so it's very dangerous, but we're going to show it. I suppose, let's see here. So before I let you see it, I'm going to take a quick look. I see a National Guard uniform. I can't quite make out the patch. And it sure looks like a government building to me. So we're just going to assume that the real Kirk found a qualified and competent person to evaluate. I don't know. So what's going to happen is the real Kirk has a get home bag. We would as a podcast, we would highly encourage that all individuals, whenever they are more than a short distance away from wherever their place of safety is, we would encourage you to have the ability to have some basic tools, right, in some sort of a setting, backpack, car, something, right? That are going to get you home or allow you to acquire some sort of safe position. Um, and survive, right? That probably made no sense. That's okay. So we're a little I don't want to jump into the video yet because we're not supposed to start that until 5 p.m. Pacific time. So right now is current events. Um, but that's what's going to happen on the show today. There will be a bunker segment. So if you are a multi-pass card holder of the Prep Pastors Bunker, we have a third segment that we film after every show, and it is located on our secret Discord server. You cannot find us by searching. You have to find us through your multipass, and the only way to get a multipass is through Patreon. We talk about this a lot. It's not about the money. It's more about just a small barrier of entry that allows us to filter slightly who is going to be there. Most people won't pay to view something just to turn around and complain about it. But now that I think of it, I did give Netflix a lot of money uh, to complain about them before I canceled them. So, who's the fool now? I don't know. Point being, we love for you to join us there, and it all happens in Discord. And the only way to get permissions into Discord are to become a Patreon member. And so I'm pulling up Discord right now because I usually hang out in the multipass card holders chat room. I don't think I'm going to stream to there today. Because with the real Kirk on, I'm trying to manage a stream out of Alaska to YouTube and Facebook, and of course we're recording this segment because I think we put them somewhere. I don't know. The real Kirk handles that; he's really good at it. So there's been no reason for me to do anything different than what he does. So, there we are. Let's see here. So that's up and running. And what other current events are there? The focus all week has been on the Kyle Rittenhouse self-defense trial and what the prosecution was going to do to the poor boy, with all of their inventions of evidence and accusations of racism and every other ridiculously railroaded charge that they invented and dragged this poor boy through. Um, I tell you what, if those two prosecutors aren't disbarred after this, there is no justice. There is no justice. It was a gross travesty. Um, it was embarrassing for the profession of law. You know what I mean? When you see someone so ridiculously slimy and lying, conniving, um, it's an embarrassment for their profession. Lawyers is supposed to be a profession of at least the appearance of excellence. One might think. I don't. I don't know. What can I say? Right? What can I say? I have nothing good to say about that prosecution team. I myself saw them contradict themselves. I myself, in watching the footage, watched them manipulate and change um, reality. I watched them lie to the judge, lie to the jury. I watched them use lies to try and twist up and change things. I would watch one witness say one thing, and then the prosecutor would get up there and, with a straight face, say that that witness had said something different than what they said. It was so easy for the average person to see through the lies of that prosecution. I I don't know. Again, it blew me away how slimy those two prosecutors were. Awful. Just awful. So, uh let's see. What's the word today? So who's logged? Let's find my way to the chat. Um Looks pretty quiet. Probably nobody watching. Yeah, I understand that. Um yeah, I'm not as entertaining as the real Kirk is, and that's okay with me. But we got 15 minutes to go before the live show, so you get to put up with me. I might pop on over to Daily Wire and see what there is to get upset about over there today. Um, let's see. Now we need background music. All I have is my noisy office building, so Oh, I didn't realize that we go live to YouTube while we on our pre-segment. I thought we were only doing that on Facebook. That's probably something I screwed up. So you're welcome, YouTube. We'll see. I watched briefly a segment. Steven Crowder, just Crowder. I don't even know. If I say Crowder, I think most people know who I'm talking about. If I say not the musician, but the entertainer, I think we call him a comedian, political comedian. I don't think he's meant to be real news, at least not that he's stated. But he's been in a constant battle with YouTube, or probably since his inception. But I don't really know. I just know that he's gotten canceled an awful lot. Every time he says something that people don't like, it becomes entertaining to watch him get canceled. And then he uses lawyers and um, I think probably whoever his follower base is, and then he usually gets reinstated somehow. So anyway, because I knew that YouTube had been prosecuting or persecuting, uh, unjustly censoring him, I was eager to see his reaction because I can't really listen to him very long. I find him rather annoying, even though I agree with most of what he says or what I've heard him say. I don't necessarily like the way he says it, but it's entertaining, and I knew he'd have a lot to say, and I was correct. He had a lot to say on the Rittenhouse thing today. So if you miss that, there's about I think it's a 2 or 3 hour segment, and I just kind of fast forward through most of it. Um, but I managed to find about like 2 or 5 minutes of entertainment there. That was worth looking at. Other than that, I like to watch Freight Trucker. Is it Freight Trucker News or something? I don't know. PT New News Network, I think, is his new name. He's pretty good about keeping his commentary out. A bunch of the Rittenhouse uh, feed that was going out live in various places had a lot of lawyers commenting the whole time, and I found it incredibly distracting as most of the lawyer channels would talk over what was happening in the feed from the courtroom. And um as much as perhaps I would value something that they might have to say, I really want to hear what was happening in the courtroom, and they were talking over the horrible feed. The None of the feeds from the courtroom were very good, so we just had to deal with what they could get. Uh, but overall, coming away from the Rittenhouse trial, I have to say the biggest, um, I don't know, the biggest one of the most important things that happened in that trial that I hope we as a nation take away, aside from the affirmation that yes, you do have the right to defend your life against others who are trying to end it. That's a whole different thing. But what I'd like to see is I'd, I'd, I'd like to see the idea of a live stream court, the court proceedings. I'd like to see that happen in every case. I think we've seen such gross misconduct on the side of the prosecution that I'd like to find out if that happens all the time, because I've heard of it happening a lot, but I haven't witnessed it because I haven't ever had to go be a part of something like that. Thank God. And every time I've gone up to sit on a jury, I'm always quickly dismissed because they don't want pastors and law enforcement chaplains and military veterans, especially somebody who's done all of those things. They don't want me on a jury trial. And so I'm always quickly dismissed. I always noticed every time, and for me, every time, I think maybe six, because while I was in the military, I never did get selected to go sit through these things. Um, what I've noticed in the ones that I have participated in is that the only jurors who were selected were the ones that one team or both, right, prosecution or defense, were able to get the juror to change their mind about something during the questions. So they want people who are easily manipulated, um, and maybe I'll say not the most intelligent. My experiences in being a part of jury selections has been that it has always frightened me to death, the idea of ever having to go have my future decided by one of these juries. It's just always been such a bad experience in seeing who was selected and knowing those people, some of those people in the community and what they're known for. Frightening, absolutely frightening. These are people who have zero grasp of law, that have not a lot of backbone, who are easily influenced to say whatever they've been pressured to say. Um, Let me know. I mean, has that been your experience? Has anyone else run into that? Am I the only one? Is that really just Alaskan juries? I don't know. I don't know. So, just a couple more minutes leading up here to the show, and we'll kick off the Prepped Pastors podcast, in which I'm going to watch this video and react to the real Kirk's get home bag being evaluated by some person in a military uniform. And I'm going to, I don't know, hopefully I'm going to agree, because it could be expensive if I don't agree, I suppose. He might have to change a few things. Um, it doesn't look big enough to me, but I don't know. That's my first critique. I'm just staring at the still picture, and I think, hmm, I don't know. I feel like I need to be overly critical. I probably don't need to be, though. Um, there's a potential question though, and the chat's awfully quiet here. We got a couple. Looks like we got about, yeah, a couple people watching and a couple different platforms. Um, what have you ever had to use a get home bag? Yeah, that'd be my question. All right. I need to figure out how to share this feed before I get too far in here. Um, yeah, I don't usually do this. The real Kirk does. Try Facebook. What you should do, um, is y'all should help me out. More options. Yeah, I don't know how to do this. Oh, there's something. I don't know. My internet's really slow because it's getting bogged down doing this feed thing. You're now interacting as your profile, Facebook says. So then what? I don't know. Oh, here's a share. Share to my friends. What if I don't have very many friends? Oh well. Running solo tonight. We'll do the best we can. It might be interesting. That's for sure. All right, let me try it on my phone. Yeah. That's the thing. If you want me to be entertaining, you're going to have to pop in one of these chats. Otherwise, you got to deal with whatever pops in my head, and who knows what's going to happen there. I'm surprised the real Kirk is, we might get deleted uh, if there's no one to help provide a filter for me. Might not make it. Might not be a channel to come back to, Kirk. All right, not going to get distracted by Facebook, the battlefield of Facebook. All right. Well, let's kick this. Oh, never mind. We got like 2.5 minutes. I apologize. If there's one thing I am, it is on time and prompt. So, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna pop over to Daily Wire real quick. Um, I so where do you get your news from? I tend to go to the Daily Wire, and oh my, and I'm not disappointed. Immediately as I open this up, it says, well, let's not be guilty of just reading the headlines, right? I do like this story by Ben Johnson that says I'd really like to see CNN evolve back to actually doing news with real journalists. Not going to happen, Benny. Not going to happen. Uh, not with CNN. And can anyone ever claim that they ever actually did? I mean, I remember when CNN started. Okay, so this story is House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jerry Nadler. Okay, enough said. Not going to read anymore. We know him to be um, not a good man of integrity. So why would any of us care what he has to say? I don't. I don't care what he has to say. Jeremy Boring. If you know about the Daily Wire, Jeremy Boring, Boring, is he's one of the owners, founders, senior partner. I don't know. He's quite important at the Daily Wire. He and Ben Shapiro. So Jeremy Boring has brought federal lawsuit against the executive branch and Joe Biden in particular, fighting the vaccine mandate. And I'm trying to read the story here real quick, but I did hear this week that, of course, last week there was the courts decided to put a stay on the mandate. So other than hospital workers, which is a different mandate, and other than federal contractors and employees, everyone else, so private citizens and corporations, um, the judge ruled that they could not tell private companies what to do. And so the plan of enforcement for this executive order mandate was to go through OSHA. And OSHA, just today or a couple days ago, has formally announced that they will not enforce the mandate until this court ruling is over. And so the Daily Wire is the one who started that lawsuit. And my understanding is that other people have joined in. But good news for those who are in fear of losing their jobs because they don't believe it's anyone's business about taking the Fauci ouchie and getting a shot. So for now, it's on hold, but not for federal contractors and not for members of federal employment. So that's still a lot of people. We're going to see where that goes. I think more will happen in the coming weeks. We'll see. I know at least one federal contractor who's getting pretty nervous. In his case, his doctor has told him not to get the vaccine. And I don't want to go into too many details about his particular medical situation, but he's he's a veteran, and he's got some really, really messed up insides from things that we were exposed to. And he doesn't have bowels anymore, if that could be explained. It's a tough situation, and his military doctor has told him he should not get this shot. So, but he's also a federal contractor, and he's his medical exemption, though it's signed by a military doctor, right now is not looking like it's going to be accepted. So that's what some people are facing right now, and I feel for them. That's the risk of being a federal contractor. So, let's see. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. So let's kick this party off. Let me figure out how to get it going. It's very exciting. We're going to start the show, run the show. So we'll get this intro going. And at the end of the intro, I will be back and we will start the Prep Pastors podcast. Thank you so much for joining me in the priest segment. What's up? What is it called? I don't know. I need the real Kirk back for that. The news, current events. All right, let's kick the show. Hey, that was the intro. Welcome to the Prep Pastors Podcast. If you're just joining us, you missed the pre segment where we talk about current events and what's happening around the world, but really in our country. Of course, the big news today was the announcement of the Kyle Rittenhouse unjust prosecution and the fact that he has been found innocent on all counts. Poor boy. Did you guys know that he spent 87 days in jail? 87 days. His entire life has been derailed. Such a travesty of injustice. So we're happy for him, but his battle is far from over at this point. Far from over. But that's not the focus of the show today. That was the focus before, and you missed it. So, congratulations. The real Kirk is gone today. He is, from what I understand, working on his own bug out location. And so he is unable to attend the Prep Pastors podcast. I am coming to you live from Alaska. It's very exciting. It's actually freaking cold here. I live in a very mild climate of Alaska, and it was negative 12 this morning, negative 12 Fahrenheit. So, for those of you that like live in Canada or somewhere where you measure your temperature in Celsius, I couldn't care less what the conversion is. It's cold. It's cold in Fahrenheit. It's also really cold in Celsius. So, um, we are in the series by Chad Rudolph. Let's see if I can get it in front of the camera. I'll just put it in front of my face. How about that? What's Left of My World, book 1 of the What's Left of My World series. And this is a multi-part series by Chad Rudolph. This is a free Prime book. So if you're on Amazon, go find it. It's worth reading. We're going to be going through all the books in this series before we move on to the next series. And if you don't know what the Prepped Pastors podcast is, the Prepped Pastors podcast, myself, the real Phil, and my cohort, the real Kirk, um, we are both licensed ministers in pastoral positions. We are both law enforcement. That's a good question. I don't even know. I myself in law enforcement and firefighter chaplain, and I also do crisis intervention with combat veterans. And the real Kirk is a law enforcement chaplain for sure. I don't recall if he's on with any fire departments right now or not. That I'm not sure about. A lot of the training goes across to both. Um, and I know that he works with a lot of veterans and has helped a lot of veterans, but I don't know that he calls himself or considers himself to be a military veteran chaplain, although he is certainly a supporter of our country's military veterans, which is why we're friends. So he's missing, not missing in action, he's just missing. And he's provided me with a video, which is a film he made. I'm not sure when, a little while ago, weeks ago, in which he is showing us his get home bag. And if you don't know what a get home bag is, it is a bag that you have at your ready whenever you need it. So the idea being it's with you when you're not home, and it has the tools and resources and things in it that will increase your chances of not just survival, but make whatever your trek is from wherever you are to your home. So it's not quite a bug out bag. It's not a grab this to go to your bug out location. This is stuff um, to help get home should you need it, right? Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Anyway, we're going to watch this film, and he has someone who's wearing a military uniform. So I'm looking at the thumbnail right now, and I'm going to play it in a minute. So, oh, hey, Rich McDonald's just commenting, and we always take a break to say, hello, Rich. How's it going today? It's freaking cold up here in Alaska. I hope it's not so cold down there. Anyway, hello, Rich. Um, I think you're going to enjoy this. I hope I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to try not to be too critical because I come from a profession other than being a pastor, right? That hopefully your pastor is not overly critical of a person. That'd be a terrible pastor. Pastors are not called to be critical; they're called to be encouraging. So I'm going to try to be encouraging today. But I come from the aircraft maintenance world, where critical is very important and saves lives. So I kind of have a critical mind about things sometimes because that's what I've been trained to do for a long time. So we're not going to do that. I'm going to be nice. I'm going to be nice. So let's see. Let's transition over here. Oh, are we getting good sound? Because I'm getting different sound. Hey, Rich, how does the sound right now? Did you get an echo when I switched scenes? I did. I got to turn this down. Hopefully that's better. All right, so I'm just going to check and make sure that I have the right sound here. And then I've got to figure out how to start the video. I think I have it. All right, so sounds good. Great. Thank you, Rich. Appreciate it. Let's start the video and see what it is. So you're staring at what I'm staring at. I see an individual in a military uniform, and I'm gonna call it National Guard. Looks like a guard uniform to me, and it's not an air guard uniform. I do know that. Okay, let's start the video, and then I'll mess with the sound, and let's see.
All right, so what we are getting ready to do right now is I've got my friend, we'll call him the unnamed soldier.
The unnamed soldier. Well,
and he is going to take a look at what's going on here. He's going to take a look at my get home bag. This is the bag that I take when I leave home, and I'm going to be gone for anything more than about 50, 60 miles. So that if the poop ever hit the fan and I
60 miles is a really long walk. Just throwing that out there. So having a smaller bag, that's probably a good thing. But yeah. All right, 50 to 60 miles. This is the real Kirk's bag that will set him up for success in getting home should he need to. All right.
I had to make it back to my house. I want him to take it apart, look at it. We're going to go top to bottom. So there's 2 pockets on top. And then we'll start splitting into the middle section. So I'll just call you brother for this video. And I appreciate your time today. So in your professional opinion, tell me what you think. It's about 45 pounds. So.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. So depending on your platform, if you're on YouTube, you can't see this Facebook comment real quick, but it's important. And it's a really good point. So I just want to say real quick, thank you, Rich. You're correct. In this video, all we can see is the torso of this man, the gentleman in uniform. And I believe it's on purpose. So I think that, I think perhaps he does not have permission to represent whatever his unit is, and probably doesn't have permission to represent the military or the National Guard. And so Kirk's going to take measures to prevent us from seeing his uniform, which I think is why we're getting some of that simulated tape there over his unit patch. I believe that's what's going on. So not seeing his, yeah, Kirk, thank you, Rich. I know Rich gets it. But that was a good question. I figured someone else might have. So we'd pause for a second. We're going to purposefully not reveal the identity of this member who's critiquing the bag. But you can tell who I am. So when I critique the bag, you can make fun of me and say I don't know what I'm talking about because I don't care.
I'll call you other brother.
Okay, sounds great.
Yeah,
Brother,
so
another brother. Okay.
45 pounds. So a little on the heavy side right
Hang
off
on.
the bat.
Okay, sounds great.
I'm just
So
rewinding.
about 45 pounds.
45 pounds.
So a little on the heavy side right off the bat.
Agreed.
But depending on how far you have to go, because weight
I bet
matters.
the water. He's probably got too much water.
Exactly.
So depending on how far you have to go, may or may not be an issue.
This
Brand
gentleman has
wise,
searched bags before.
Brand is kind of indifferent. It's all about quality and does it offer what you need. So
Yeah, I agree with that too. Brand doesn't matter. Unless it's 5'11", then anything 5'11" is probably too small.
so starting at the top,
What's he got?
got a basic tool set.
Yeah, couple
little
specialty
pliers.
pliers.
Is that some
Hopefully replace a couple
Knipex?
sets of wrenches. The way those things are designed, they're pretty sweet.
Yeah, those are good.
Knipex? Is that couple? Is in more than one?
So I'm just gonna kind of pull them out,
Yeah,
lay
just
them down.
pull 'em out, lay 'em down.
And I'll
Hey, feel free to jump in here. We're gonna either make fun of or encourage the real Kirk.
Has red light on it as well. So.
again,
Yeah, I believe
so
in red light. I
red
actually really
light-
like green.
is important if you're trying to navigate and still remain relatively unseen. So
Right.
I know I switched to okay, I'm going to pause for just 1 second. And my ADD and my brain, sometimes you just have to deal with it. So you don't have the real Kirk here to even me out. But basically, what's popping in my head real quick. If you do happen to know or figure out who this gentleman is, would you please just keep it to yourself and, thank him offline for his contributions. But don't dox him in our feed, please.
second top pouch. Got some.
So I'm curious why Kirk, and he's not here for us to ask, so we'll have to ask him when he comes back next week. Or I don't think we're having a show next week because it's Thanksgiving. Maybe we'll have a show. We haven't decided yet. I'm curious why he's carrying tools of that size and weight that high up in the pack. So I like my weight to be down low in a pack, not high near where my head is. So that's a question that I have so far.
All right. So we got some caffeine tablets.
No.
Stimulation.
No.
I mean, caffeine and hate.
I thought it was whiskey and hate.
Isn't that an Army slogan?
Yeah, a little black tape, electrical tape, gorilla tape,
Yeah, that's good stuff.
a compass.
Okay.
And say right off the bat, this is a must.
Yeah.
Adventure wipes, highly underrated.
Okay. Does everybody know what that is? Adventure wipe? Let's see if he says.
That's right.
How, and it's not just for the obvious reason of why you would want to wipe, but just even for the little things.
By obvious,
Or
we
you can
mean
pack a
gun
wound with
cleaning.
them.
Yep, or there's so much you can do with that.
Yeah,
All right,
that
so done
gun
with those
also.
top pouches.
Okay, so he didn't really explain what those are. So adventure wipes are compressed. I don't want to say toilet paper because they're more than toilet paper. They're more along the lines of rags. So do you remember back in forever ago when some people were young and perhaps cool gifts to get kids were these bath toys? You remember there were the little pills, and when you threw them in the bath, they would dissolve, and dinosaurs and other things would like grow up, because it was basically just a super compressed sponge. That's what those adventure wipes are. They're a super compressed rag cloth. I think they're almost always 100% cotton. And the idea being they can be used as toilet paper or rags or even bandages. There's just a lot of uses for them. And so they're lightweight and very compact, and they're pretty affordable, and they are a good idea to carry. I just, the only thing so far is I couldn't see the package or container that they were in. And you want to make sure those things are nowhere near moisture. They need to be in a Ziploc or some sort of container that prevents moisture from getting into them because otherwise they'll expand too early.
Kind of breaking into the top here.
Like that opening, the V.
So that's a wood stove. That's a titanium wood stove.
So this is
Nice.
the little kit you showed me.
I did, yes. So you've already, you had a chance to kind of play with that a
Oh,
little
we're
bit.
getting some
Assembles
rank
into-
there.
Some of you may know, like, you can make a little camp stove out of a coffee can, a little coffee can stove.
Right.
Very similar.
You know
just
what
much
rank that
lighter,
is. Keep
much
it to
easier
yourself.
pack.
Right.
It's let's just say it's sufficient to say
This is a vest.
In case you need to look official.
he didn't just join the
Looking
military.
Official, it'll help, and then also
Vests are a good idea.
for signaling. If you want something.
I actually use
Sometimes
reflective
you want to signal,
disco
sometimes you wanna
belts.
blend in.
So ankle IFAC.
Yep. Ankle IFAC.
Okay, IFAC stands for Individual First Aid Kit. Individual First Aid Kit.
It's got the basics in here. You got. Is this a?
Is that an EpiPen?
Right, yep,
Yep.
chest pen.
Okay. good.
Oh, okay.
Tourniquet, two
It's
chest.
he said it's a chest decompression pen. I think that's what he said. Essentially, that's a needle with a valve. You on a sucking chest wound, right? You can let the excess air out of the chest cavity that will allow you to continue to breathe without putting extra pressure on your lungs and your heart. If you end up getting a sucking chest wound, usually that's related to gun injuries, but it can also be impalings. You see it in a car accident if somebody, flies out of the vehicle and hits a branch or usually like a fence and gets impaled. That'll come up.
Heels.
Probably the only thing I.
Who knows the movie? They illustrate that actually quite well. I think it was called Three Kings. And old Marky Mark gets a sucking chest wound, and they end up installing a decompression needle on his, which is what they just showed in Kirk's IFAC there. Great movie, not because of the movie or anything else, but it actually illustrates some combat medical situations quite well, with some cool graphics that were cool in the 90s.
Don't see in here that I would add is a Sharpie.
Sharpie. Okay, good to know.
Because tourniquet.
Sharpie is absolutely required if you have a tourniquet. And the reason for that is the second that you apply a tourniquet, you start a ticking clock on the appendage that you've just cut the blood off from. And so when a person gets to competent medical care, they need to know when that tourniquet was applied. It's very important. So Sharpies are great for lots of things. Plus, you can start writing stuff, and usually you write it right on the person's forehead. They'll forgive you if they're alive later. And if not, the mortician can wipe that stuff off so they can maybe still get an open casket.
Kits and all that, because
Time
you
is a
want to
big
write
one.
down
Yep.
when you get that.
That's a really good. And I don't think there's a Sharpie in there at all. So that's really good. I had a chance to wrap and pack.
I was going to say, stuff's still in boxes. It's okay
These
because you can
are-
burn the packaging.
I keep several of these in my.
I don't
pack,
like that style of carabiner.
varying sizes. So, yeah, these are pretty good. They're good
Those ones
size.
I
look
can't
heavy.
remember whether the hammock system is in there right now.
Hey.
So if it is, that's part. That's
That looks like an
part of the
upper.
hammock system when it gets completed. So
Okay, so you have one half of a rifle.
yes, one half of a rifle.
I would suggest having. A whole rifle.
You
I
will
like this guy.
discover.
I like this guy. I suggest you have the other half. That's probably a good call.
Looking to
Good call.
burn.
Right,
Yes.
right, exactly.
Good call, Tom.
Yeah, no, I saw it already. Sitting here.
That was sort of funny.
But yeah, very important.
Oh,
Some
and got a
kind of
law folder
compact
there.
Force multiplier.
Let's hope it's a law, not a
something
rip-off.
with range.
We'll have to talk to the real
knife
Kirk
is
if it's a
good,
rip-off.
Brass knuckles are good. A club is good.
You know what's really good? Brass knuckles are sort of great. A sap, if you know what that is. Usually they're leather with a heavy-duty spring, and then they might have lead inside of a pouch. A sap is an excellent close quarters weapon. They're easy to conceal them, easy to drop them and lose them too.
But really, when it gets down to it, you need to be able to have some distance.
So hold on a second. Did you see the way he's holding that lower? We're going to call this the Rittenhouse special in honor of today. But so in this Rittenhouse special, what's happening here is the buttstock is on a hinge, and of course that requires some modification to the recoil buffer spring system. I don't love these, but it does allow what you just saw, which is this little carbine now fits in a backpack. So there's some good aspects to it, but it introduces a point of weakness there at that hinge, and I don't like it for that. But the biggest thing I don't like it is the one enemy of this type of firearm is dirt and junk and stuff in the action. And having that buffer tube open like that allows that to happen. So I don't love that. I built one rifle like that and I ended up taking it off and getting rid of it. So the other downside is that if you have to use this sort of a weapon in a CQB or close quarters combat situation, the weapon is less of a, how do I explain it? The weapon at that point becomes less of a non-lethal, or somebody help me out here in chat. Anyway, short of firing your firearm, there's a lot of things you can do with a firearm as far as strikes and leveraging of pressure points and utilizing compliance techniques. You can do that with a small carbine like this, but every time thank you, Rich, as a club. So the best thing about like an M1 Garand, a battle rifle, something that's considered a battle rifle, is that the rifle itself is a large and capable weapon. And the more hinges and points that you put on an AR style carbine, the less that they will hold up to being utilized in that way. So you can't grab that barrel and start swinging it because you're actually going to break it. So I don't like that, but specific tools for specific situations. But you see how that buffer was all open?
If you can
see that right there, you can see the buffer. Yeah. So I see his buffer piston, which, all right, let's throw some shade here. Ready? Does anybody else see all the indents all over that buffer spring or buffer piston? So where the buffer piston is hitting the detent, that shouldn't be happening and scoring it like that. So either he needs to install an offset, because maybe the law folder has placed that in the wrong spot, or or it was drilled wrong to begin with. But you shouldn't have all those dents on your piston like that.
If you want to carry the weight, a rifle will work much better than a pistol.
Sure.
Especially when it comes to barrier defeat and just range and accuracy.
Ask Mr. Rittenhouse.
But again, it goes to weight. How much weight are you willing to carry for over a distance?
Right.
Because carrying one of these slung over your shoulder, or in the low position, is a lot easier than carrying it in a backpack. So, but again,
yeah, but depending on your environment. So for those of you who don't know, the real Kirk, right now, this is a get home bag for him, and he's in the state of Oregon. And let's be honest, I don't think you can traverse the Willamette Valley or even probably the Columbia Gorge anymore with a Rittenhouse style carbine slung over your back. I think that gets you a lot of unwanted attention that you probably don't want to have these days. Less so in other states and other places. Obviously, it gets you a lot of attention in Kenosha right now.
Slings are much more useful than people think. They got a lot more uses than.
So his sling is detached. Does he have it on a QD?
Having some kind of a.
Did he say what kind of sling that was? I didn't.
Might be beneficial.
So
If
that's
you have a
about 3
rifle,
days worth of food.
you always want to have a
So yeah,
sling.
your
So
food.
you can crack that open and take a look at your thoughts on that.
It's heavy.
So freeze-dried food usually will be more expensive, but it's an excellent way to go.
I hate
Nutrition and
freeze-dried food.
weight-wise, you just need to make sure you have access to water.
Right.
Yeah.
So
You guys catch the key points.
again, this is a nice lightweight, compact cooking set.
Yeah. I like
Definitely
the
need
mesh
one of
bag.
these Also,
Mesh bag's important
if
with a
for no
cooking
other
kit like
reason
that.
than to,
Allows you to
boil
clean it without
water.
losing it
Right.
and
even if you're
dry
not
it.
gonna
You
use
can
to
hang it
cook
out,
food
let it
because you're
dry.
taking all your food out of a bag or something.
Right. So there's fuel and a burner in that, and
Nice.
So this
lighting
has the
and
little
fluids.
jet burner in here. Okay.
Yep. The whole nine.
Rocket
yeah.
stove
'cause
or
some
what do they call that?
people- Yeah,
There you go.
I use a little pocket rocket system like this.
I carried a jet boil for years, and they are wonderful, but gosh, they're heavy.
They're
Yeah.
big. They take up space.
Yeah, I don't love jet boil. They work for what they're meant to do, but they're not. They're not the solution to everything. Wasn't one of the first kits that he pulled out was a titanium fold up, put together little stove. I'm imagining that as I call them stick stoves. You guys know what I'm talking about? So you put these sides together and it makes a little stove, and you can feed it with twigs. I love those because when your fuel runs out, there's typically fuel all around you all the time. And so if you know how to burn them properly, you can make a pretty smokeless fire, especially if you understand the concept of Dakota pits. Have anybody heard that before? I think there's several names for them. Essentially, right, it's a rocket stove or jet stove in the ground that you dig a couple of holes, and it makes a very discreet, hot burning fire, and it's very easy to cover up and make it look like it's never been there. It's also low impact in areas where you could light the world on fire. It's pretty easy to do them safely. So let's see. Let's keep going. So it looks like Mountain House is the brand of, and did he get Chili Mac or what? Because if you don't get Chili Mac, like that's the only flavor worth getting.
Yeah.
So
How long is this video?
all right, and
Longer when I stop it all the time, right?
so you got and I know you don't have all the same food in here. Very similar, but
Right. Try to do
but
some
yeah,
varying.
Yeah, try to mix it up because, I mean, if you ever find yourself in a situation where you're needing to use this, life's already gonna suck. Like, I mean, it sounds.
Is this going to be a spoon or?
Mix up the flavors a little bit.
Right.
You know, give yourself at least a little comfort.
Always supplement
In
with
your
some
misery.
squirrel.
Good.
Oh, little titanium spork.
Yeah,
I like
you need
sporks.
This. This is great as far as like space.
I think it's more than you need.
Weight wise.
If it's really light, then it's
I
okay.
just grab a couple spoons out of my MRE, just throw them in my backpack.
Yeah.
Yeah. So MRE
Because-
spoons are kind of a heavy, almost polymer-ish plastic, and they're good for a lot of uses. They're pretty sturdy. They also, some plastic spoons will like cut your mouth. They're really sharp. Yeah, I never had that problem with an MRE spoon.
Yeah, and then having your food contained also is great. And this is where like your
Yeah, I like
sling
bags
comes
within
in,
bags.
'cause you can hang it. If you think you're going to be in an area where there might be animals you don't want.
Right.
Hydration pack. I'm not going to take this out.
Yeah.
But there's a hydration bladder in here.
Right.
So how much?
And it looks like it's one of the bigger ones.
It is.
One of probably it feels like about 3 liter.
I think it is a 3 liter. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
about
lot.
3 liter. That's good because that's not going to be a.
You don't have to keep it full as long as you have the ability to fill it. So, if this is a get home bag in your vehicle, you don't have to keep all of the water in your count pack because those things will actually rot, and they're a little bit of a pain to clean, and the water needs to be changed constantly. So what I do is I clean them and I sanitize them, and then I keep them empty. And then from there, and partially because in Alaska where it freezes, I don't want them freezing and thawing and freezing and thawing and then degrading the plastic that the the pouch is. And so what I do is I just have water either in an Nalgene or other source, even water bottles. It doesn't really matter what the source is. And the point being, you would top off your camel pack or pouch or whatever you're going to call it. You top it off before you left the vehicle. So also you need to have a secondary, we'll see if he does, but you need to have a secondary container of water that you can get dirty water in to sanitize with and then refill the pouch. So you need a clean and a dirty.
But that's definitely, I'll keep you alive.
Right.
Emergency blanket.
Went with the tougher one. I know it's a little heavier, but I could actually shelter both.
I was gonna say that.
Hold on,
I'll keep you alive.
emergency.
Right.
Okay, emergency. I thought you said Murphy.
Emergency blanket.
Emergency blanket.
Went with the tougher one. I know it's a little heavier, but I could actually shelter both.
I was gonna say that, and then also depending on why you've got this and you're out, these things are great because they will keep you warm. They'll keep you cool on super hot days, and they're excellent thermal protection. Fun fact: if you're hiding behind one of these, we can't see you with FLIR.
Oh, we didn't edit that out. That's why I have one also. Yeah, we'll leave it at that.
So heat detecting optics.
Okay.
You're invisible behind these.
Okay. Interesting.
So-
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Whoever we is, right?
Whoever we is.
Whoever we is.
All right. I don't know how to be quiet on this one. Probably whatever optics they have. I'll say, having been a part of combat search and rescue with the Air Force, we have stuff that can see through that. Just, because we're better.
Is.
Right.
All right, and this looks like a little grab bag of,
Zip
Fire
ties?
goodies.
yep, little fire starter stuff.
Oh, okay.
So you got your weatherproof matches,
Okay, and a strike.
multiple strikes.
With the old. So I apologize now. Hear a background noise here. The fire suppression system in this building has got some gaps in it, and the air compressor fires up and has to clean out the fire suppression sprinklers, and so obviously the building is a little old, and this thing fires up about every 40 minutes, so that sucks for trying to record sound. Just
Nice. Yeah, so you've got some different stuff than other people, but basically you need to make sure.
What is
you
that? Some
have
gel?
more than one way to start a fire.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with
And
that.
you can't always count on having a wounded tree around that's just oozing sap.
Yeah.
So you need to have something that can help start a fire.
I like petroleum
in all
jelly
kinds of
also.
situations. Whether it's wet.
So I will take cotton balls and soak them in petroleum jelly and then put them in a small. Rich, you can't hear? Right now you can't hear? That's awful. Uh-oh. What can't you hear, though? Is it the video or me? We're taking a pause because we got to fix the sound. Let me know, Rich. You can't hear the video or you can't hear me? Or you're saying my excellent sound engineering skills were managed to get rid of that air compressor? Hopefully that's it. Otherwise, I'll start this video over and y'all have to watch it all over again. I might even say different things. All right. Thank you, Rich. Appreciate it, sir.
Wet, super cold. Vaseline is good.
So the Vaseline is good because, like y'all might be able to see right now, negative 16 or whatever outside. The air gets super dry. When it's cold, it can't contain moisture very well. And so it will leach the moisture off of your skin and your body. And so being exposed to the elements, as in hey, thank you, Rich. uh, being exposed to the elements in a windy environment or a super cold environment um, will dry out your fingernails. You get fingernail hangnails, and which can be a source of infections. They'll dry out your lips and they can crack, right? Which again can be a negative impact. Your ears, around your nose, if it gets really cold around your nose, the moisture will freeze, and so it might look stupid. But if you take a little bit of petroleum jelly and put it around your nostrils and on your lips, it's a barrier that helps to prevent them from drying out. It's better, chapstick's great, but petroleum jelly works really well for that. In very cold environment, it also works well to keep things from sticking together. So you can use it to lubricate your zippers and help waterproof your zippers on things. And then anything that you would want to stick, right? So the other thing you can do is in hot environments, it's also helpful there, but it's an excellent fire starter. And so you can soak up some cotton balls or cotton rags or anything and penetrate the fibers with the petroleum jelly. And then it makes a great fire starter. It's not explosive. It's a nice, slow, intense burn that will help get your fire started if you have other wet fuels. So great thing to do. I don't usually carry a little container like that because it's too heavy for me. So I actually just soak a couple of cotton balls and put them in a tin along with some other things. And then if I need to use it like as a chapstick, which I carry a chapstick because I also put sunblock in my chapstick, but then you can just wipe the cotton ball on your lip and apply it like chapstick.
You've got a lighter. You even have the flint and steel. So that's good. So you got 3 different ways to initiate a fire. That's good. And then you got little
in the bag. So I like the little bag that he has there too, the pouch, because as you're coming across fuels like dry bark or twigs or moss or whatever else you're coming across, you can shove it in there, right? Supplement your pouch as you're moving. So I like that.
Aero putty, little Vaseline, mix of Vaseline with a little cotton and some of those wipes or something. They'll wick really nice.
Really tried to build as much redundancy into that piece of the
Yeah,
kit
what's
right
the
here.
gel stuff? Is that a fire starting gel? That's a lot of it.
Right here.
I figured it would take me about 3 days.
Burn
to make
down
it
half
from
of Portland with that
a big
much
city
gel.
that's near us to us, and
I bet it's like a Sterno
which I have
gel.
to go there regularly, and you can split that seam down the middle if it makes it easier to get into the rest of that pack.
All right, again, if you see too much with this gentleman, let's respect his
anyway,
wishes to not be
that's what I was just
doxxed.
thinking I was going to need.
Those
about
look
3 days
like
worth of food,
tree straps?
Multiple ways to make fire.
Some
I'm
webbing?
shooting for 3 days is what I'm trying to say.
So it looks like your hammock is in here.
Okay.
The straps.
Okay, good. I
hanging
thought I
straps
had
and
put it in
everything.
there. Yeah.
So now the thing about hammocks is they're excellent and they're super comfortable.
Yeah, I like a
They're
hammock too.
Crazy lightweight.
Just have to think about
In
under
the
insulation.
Northwest, I've in my experience, they've been very situational when I can use them. Because
All right, I'm going to cut a little bit of the
If you're in-
screen so we don't dox
more
this
often
gentleman
than
quite
not,
so much.
the nights are going to be cool,
Right.
cold, or downright freezing.
Sure.
You're not going to.
We'll transition to the ultra wide screen here.
Do that.
Right.
Now, if you packed just a small pole setup, you can use this and create like a shelter, like a windbreak or something, because
Right.
hammocks also serve as a great windbreak. You just need some way to hold it up.
Sure.
So then that way you're getting more than one function out of something.
Right.
Yeah, saw. That's a good one. So, and then more cutters. So now the cutters,
What's he got?
when I saw that first tool set, I was hoping there was going to be some wire cutters in there.
So those
I
are
agree.
the Nipex micro bolt cutters. So they're rated really. They can do like 16 penny nails. So you can do small locks. You can do chain link fence.
Yeah.
you know, hardened a lot
Chain
of
link
stuff
fence is important.
and very, very effectively. So I really didn't cheap out on those
Yeah.
cutters because I wanted those to be effective.
Yeah, you want to make sure you have cutters because just for getting through obstacles. Because you notice when you have to walk, so you don't
Yeah,
notice
the
how
straight
many
path is
fences
the
there are, how good people are
straight
about
as you can.
cordoning off their little territory until you try to walk
Right.
somewhere. And it seems like every time you turn around or get off the road or get off the path, there's fences.
So what kind of
Usually, if
saws
you
he got
can,
there?
try to scale them.
Can anybody
try not to
see it?
leave any
Doesn't look like a
signs so you
silky. It
pass
looks
through there, but sometimes you can't help it. You have to defeat the obstacle.
Right.
if you want to be
same thing with
nice, if you
saws.
cut anybody's fence, and I'll assume everybody wants to be nice, reattach the fence. You could always maybe zip tie it back together and zip tie a $10 bill or something. I don't know. Just don't let their animals get away. It's common courtesy if you open a gate, shut it behind you. And the same thing, if you're required to somehow in a survival situation, you got to cut somebody's fence, reattach it so his animals don't get out.
Saws are great for collecting firewood, breaking down firewood, creating.
Saw's better than an
tools.
axe.
You can use a saw to create more tools.
Safer too.
Or you can use a saw to create barriers.
Right.
If
So
you need to
another
kind of
weapon.
Block something off to make it less appealing for traffic to come through.
Sure.
You want to have a saw.
I like the saw, but that one looks heavy. I think that's my biggest critique so far is a lot of this stuff, a little more packaging than you
this
need.
is the-
Like this little
one
cardboard
that's
that's around the straps.
Yep.
Okay, and it has the universal where it can.
Yeah, you can just plug it. I can go inline into my thing. Yeah.
I can't quite tell what this is yet.
And the plus, good thing about these, we've got these also, is we'll use these.
Oh, it's cordage.
Because you can just screw any kind of, like you find a bottle on the ground. And that's fine.
Right.
You
No,
can
it's not
squeeze
cordage.
it into
Well,
it.
I saw some
You
cordage.
just,
This is
so
a water
that way you're not having to
purification.
carry a water, something to collect water in.
Because the bladder they come with is cheesy at best.
The bladder is clean.
Yeah, so he's probably a
but
platypus
it works, but I'm talking about the donor.
or Sawyer.
the donor bladder, for sure.
You can just, because especially if you're walking through a city or an urban area, you're gonna walk down the freeway, highway, you're gonna find somebody's piss bottle.
Yep. Yep.
Ew.
Many more of those on the side of the road than you'd think.
Right.
Okay.
But
Oregonians,
at
you
least
guys
can
stop
find a
that.
bottle.
That's
Some kind of
nasty.
a container to hold water in.
Yep.
And then that you can use to collect water. It'll screw onto here and you can press it through into this. It's great. And then before it goes into here though,
My setup's a
put it in
gravity setup.
and boil it,
Right.
because these won't get out.
And the dirty side
like chemicals.
of my
pesticides in
reservoir
there, some kind of a
is the waterproof bag
toxin
that
or
I
something.
carry
A
all
lot
the
of those
stuff
have a
in.
lower boiling point than water.
Okay.
And so by boiling it, you'll evaporate a majority of it out.
Okay.
And make it a little safer.
Good.
Yeah, boiling is always good if you
So,
can.
But yeah, having a water filter is
Yep.
critical because.
And normally I have two. One of the other water filter was liberated from me, so I got to replace it. So because
So my second source of water purification, one besides boiling, and boiling's kind of the go-to if you can, but I carry the iodine tablets, and I carry the secondary tablets, the 2-tablet system. That's what I was issued in the military, and so that's just what I use. I have a bunch of them, and I don't remember if they expire or not, but they last a long time, and they weigh very little. They make extremely nasty water safe to drink, which sucks. But I also carry a UV, not in my get home, but I have a UV. It's not a filter. It's a UV treatment, and it applies ultraviolet light inside of a Nalgene, which I carry Nalgene, for several reasons. But you can circulate this UV light inside of your Nalgene, and it's 100% purification. It kills absolutely everything in the water. So even if it doesn't taste great because it has mud or other solids, it's safe to drink because it's kills all living organisms, and it's 100% instead of 99 point whatever. It's 100%, and so I like that. That's what I use.
I do normally carry redundancy as far as that goes as well.
There we go. Okay, good. I was gonna say,
Oh, magazine. That's right, because he had that carbine.
and didn't bring no.
It's good to have a magazine for your carbine
There
rifle.
should be 3 magazines, yeah.
3
Yeah,
mags.
there's 2 more in there. Yep.
And there are magazine holders on the side of the pack, on the waist belt, because I figure if I transition and that goes outward, then I'm gonna have the mags go outward as well.
That's a good point. 3 mags, kind of a very minimum loadout. I think most people that actually carry magazines in a long-term capacity like this, where they're staying loaded for a long time, nobody loads past about 28 rounds or so. I've got some 32 round mags that I'll load to 30, and then I'll usually throw, not in this application, but in a loadout system, I have vacuum sealed stripper clips of more ammunition, and so if I actually think I'm going to have to use them, I'll top them all off while I have a chance under concealment and cover. But 3 mags, depending on your environment, that's a very individual thing, because that's a lot of weight. The P mags themselves that he has, those polymer magazines, are pretty light, but ounces count when you're humping it on your back. And the ammunition itself has some significant weight to it. I don't know. It's a very individual preference sort of thing. It's kind of like when you're flying, altitude that's above you does you 0 good. Ammunition that's not on you does you 0 good. So, I mean, I guess you could ditch it if you had to. I ditch my food before I ditch ammunition, but knowing how much to carry, that's tough deal. If I think I need a carbine, I'm probably taking 7 mags and 6 more in my bag. If I think I need it, I'm carrying more than one firearm too. So I don't know. I mean, where do you stop? Where do you stop? Too much weight. I'm not sure about the carbine thing.
Up. So yeah,
I think there's a couple
That's an interesting
more
bag.
more
There's
little
some
pouches.
batteries maybe or something, I don't know.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, got batteries. Now
Batteries for what?
you're gonna want
So I think we saw a headlamp. If he's got a carbine, he should have a weapon light on it. And anything that requires batteries, you should have at least one set of spares for. What else did we see that took batteries? It looks like quite a few in that little pack.
make sure you carry spare batteries for every type of battery needed.
Right.
Right.
So I have an optic. I need to get some batteries on that for that optic. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah, they're not going to be double
I would
A.
honestly just carry
That's a
like
lot of double A's.
extra battery for
Right.
that, because those batteries tend to last.
Yeah, that's over a year.
I don't carry a spare battery for my optic. Let me think here. Most of my optics are Trijicon and either don't require or use batteries, or they haven't. The backup is fiber optic anyway, so you don't. The battery dies. It doesn't matter. My truck gun, I've showed it a couple of times in the bunker. My truck gun does implement an aim point. I'm trying to remember what the battery is, but it's a specialty type of battery, a camera battery. It lasts for years and years and years. The thing is, my backup though for an optic is to either remove the optic and or flip up my backup sights. So on a get home bag situation, I probably would not bring a spare set of batteries for a carbine optic. I would use open sights at that point. But if I was carrying night vision, which in the situation he's describing and preparing for, I would 100% travel at night. And night vision would be something very useful, and I would have multiple backups for my night vision for sure.
Here, yeah, that's
We'll
10,000 hours.
We'll die of old age before that battery will.
We're gonna try anyway.
Through damage or
Yeah, my aim
contamination
point
or
has
something.
used 2
Right.
batteries
Might
in
need
like
another one.
14, 15
Yeah,
years.
make sure you have spare batteries.
And I've left it on for months at a time.
Yep.
That was a
my-
magazine, I believe.
My everyday carry has a pistol, so I figured
gotcha.
I'd go ahead and throw in a pistol.
That was a
mag as
pistol
well.
magazine
Yep.
for the pistol that he carries on his pocket or in his wherever.
So that's more of the compact bivvy, the more insulated bivvy. So you probably don't want to unroll that guy because that'll be a pain to get back in that bag. But so that's just that mylar.
It's a bivvy sack?
Sleeping bag.
Oh,
Okay.
interesting.
So now does
I don't
this
think I've seen one of
serve
those.
a separate function from your emergency blanket then?
Yeah.
So my thoughts were redundancy, as often as I can make it
Okay.
be. So the thoughts were the emergency blanket could be more sheltered.
That's some weight.
And then the sleeping bag would actually be to sleep in.
Okay. Yeah, you want to have some redundancy. for
So
sure.
in the water bladder pocket, there should be some
I think
other
he could
things
lose
in
some
there.
weight here in this pack.
Feeling those.
What is that? Is that a
So
laptop?
that's Faraday bag.
All right.
It is, isn't it?
Okay. That is. I've never seen one of these in somebody's go bag before.
I agree.
Take a look inside. You'll see why. I figure if I'm going to carry it, I might as well protect it. So
Okay, let's see what this. What do you think? iPad? Is this? What's it got in there?
Okay.
You know what it's going to be? Let's call it right now. Throw your guesses in the chat. I want to see what's going to be in this Faraday bag. My guess is an iPad preloaded with post-apocalyptic books and movies like Red Dawn. And then is it Red Dawn 1 or 2 or both? Or do we just not talk about Red Dawn 2?
So ham radio.
Now here's the trick.
Looks like a
You know how
Baofeng.
to use this.
I'm getting better. I'm definitely studying.
Good point. Excellent point. And let's see what else comes out of this bag. Because if you don't have all the frequencies on hand in the repeater stations for your route, it's just a big brick.
I'm doing the classes. Yeah.
I know people who've dropped a lot of money on making sure they have their little radios
Right.
so they can communicate, and then it's like, cool, what frequency you run?
Right. Exactly. So I'm working on learning, getting my.
There's no such
getting my
thing as discrete. It's extremely difficult to make your transmissions be encoded so that others can't hear it. You can set up so that your radio only receives something that is sent with a certain code. Basically, that's your discrete code. But it doesn't prevent everybody else from listening. When you transmit, everyone can hear it, and they're not secure means of communication. And the technology that it takes to make them secure is extremely expensive and does not work on those radios. And even then, it just doesn't take that much to cut through them. So there's other solutions for that. I don't carry a radio like that. I do carry I carry a radio, but I carry an aviation radio transmitter because for me, I want to be able to get a hold of somebody flying overhead. And so I want the ability to transmit on the aviation frequencies. And so I carry one of those. I think for the purpose he's building this bag for, because that radio is unable to transmit on that frequency. I think I would get rid of that. Otherwise, I would just use a little simple GRMS, something or another that lets you listen to the Weather Channel, because knowing the weather is useful.
Certification done, all that stuff.
Yes, I mean certification, of course, because
Yeah.
staying within the bounds of the
Of
law.
course, we
the most important.
Okay. I don't know where they're going with that. I'll just say this. And if you're going to if you're in a situation where you're going to involve this, even right now, we're not talking the end of the world. We're talking a bad situation that's become more than inconvenient. Now you're having to work your way home overland. Um, Emergency uses of the frequencies are always allowed. And so, be respectful as much as you can. Don't screw other people up with your transmissions. But if you're in an emergency, like you're having to walk miles and miles, 50, 60 miles, um, nobody cares if you have a license to use the radio or not. They really don't. So do whatever you got to do, and there will be no prosecution. And if this is a bag that's being used in some sort of post EMP, since he's obviously set it up with a Faraday, hoping that an EMP is not going to fry the radio. Again, nobody's going to be checking for licenses at that point. So if anybody is not going down that road because of an FCC license, don't let that stop you. If you want to get the tool and play with it, you need a license to do that. Don't screw up things. And it's not that hard to get, other than most of those guys are just kind of tools themselves. But Rich has a good comment in the chat. He says, sat phones are encrypted, and I completely agree. And sat phones are very affordable these days. I myself use a Garmin InReach, and it has direct communication. So, short of and possibly even after some sort of end of the world situation, a lot of those things are probably still going to work. I use a Garmin InReach, and so I don't carry those things. But like I said, I do carry a small aviation transmitter.
Yeah, we care about that a lot. Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
There's just an antenna down there. Yeah, the antenna. I think there's a couple antennas down there. So that's a solar charger. So that unfolds and gives you the ability to USB charge your phone. Another battery backup.
Okay.
Eventually, I'll have the adapter to be able to charge that radio with that.
All right.
But it is a pain to get in and out of that bag.
Yeah, that's why I didn't take it out.
Thanks. No.
It felt really snug in there.
Yeah.
All right, so while he's got a small solar panel inside of there that he's hoping to be able to recharge the Baofeng ham radio with, and that's probably not a bad idea. I can't remember if I have a solar charger with me in my bag. I don't think I do when I get home. I carry one when I'm in the field hunting and doing other things, because I have replaceable batteries for my satellite communication device, my GPS, which is the same device for me. And so I have a little solar charger that I can just throw on the outside of my pack, and it charges a set of battery cells across. Usually takes about 2 days to charge them. And so I try to have 3, and then I can make 3 days or 3 batteries, right? I can make 3 batteries last quite a bit longer. And of course, if I sit still or have good sun, then I can extend it. But other than that, I find that rechargeable batteries, at least right now, the kind that you can charge with a little solar charger that fits in a pack like this, they won't power a headlamp for very long or hardly anything. So I think you're better off just having higher quality batteries and bringing more of them and ditching the solar charger.
But I figure if I'm going to carry an electronic device that I rely on, might as well throw it in something that protects it.
I wouldn't bother with the weight.
Well, not just that. You're going to have your cell phone on you.
Right.
You're going to have...
Right. That's the backup to the backup comms situation, right?
Yep. The backup to the backup.
I don't think you need it if you're on foot.
And then is there anything else? I can't remember in the bladder pocket.
Let's see. It might be.
I don't
There was a
see
ballistic
spare
pad in there, too.
identification
If not, I've got it.
records.
Okay, so there is a ballistic pad.
Proof
to go
of
in there as well.
citizenship.
So it'll be small arms, not rifle rated, but
So just a soft
pad.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just
Okay, so did y'all catch that? He has a small ballistic panel in there. So I think it's a level 2 2A soft panel. Basically, it'll stop like 22 long rifle up to, I think they don't quite make 357, but 9 millimeter, and it's kind of a last defense. So the backpack itself, full of stuff, is your first line of defense there. So ammunition or bullets that are fired at you, by the time they go through the bag and your mountain house, your water-filled bladder, and everything else, I think the idea is that maybe a little 2A armor panel then will hopefully prevent it from penetrating further into your back. And I suppose you could flip that around and wear it on your front if you're in a situation that you think you need armor for. I don't think any of that works for me. For me, it's not worth the wait. I would ditch it. If I'm in a situation here where 50, 60 miles and I got to get home, I'm just not going to be found. As I said, travel at night, travel light, travel quick. Being quiet and concealed is going to be far more important, and I'm going to be able to do that with less weight. So I would ditch that for sure. If I felt like I needed to have body armor, I want body armor that's actually going to work, and I want a full loadout, and that's just a different situation. You'd be wearing this pack over top of that armor. It'd be definitely a different deal. So I do like carrying some level 4 soft concealed armor, and the stuff that I have you can wear underneath of a jacket, or even like the fleece that I'm wearing right now. If I was wearing my armor, you couldn't tell I was wearing armor. And I think that's the best way to go if you can. Easily concealed under a hoodie for your soft stuff, concealment. And I like that to be a completely separate vest. I can always put the vest, tie it to the outside of the pack. If I can't wear it, but if I have it on me, I'm wearing it. Otherwise, I just don't have it on me. What's the point? So I disagree with the armor thing. If you're going to wear armor, wear it. And I think having a something in your pack is not, I don't dig that.
Grade.
Yeah. So overall, what's your assessment?
Overall, here we go.
Overall, I'd say, yeah, I think you've got a majority of what you would need. Thing I don't see here is any kind of you've got a compass, which is excellent.
Right.
But
doesn't have a GPS
any
or a map.
other form of navigation.
Okay.
If you have a compass, you need a map.
A map.
Yeah, you need to throw a paper map in, huh?
Paper's great, but if it's not waterproof, it's worthless.
Even if it's something as generic as a state map, just a state road map. It doesn't have to necessarily be like a 1 to 50,000 topo map that you can actually use to do land nav on, but just something as general as a state map. So that way you can look at.
Yeah. So the obscure town sign that you see are coming up to, an overall map that gives you the ability to skirt around other people, or get to other people, right? Depending on what the goal is. Are you trying to be found? Or you're trying not to be found? I agree. A map. That requires you to know where you're going to be and where you're going. So again, the gazetter in your vehicle, and you can rip out the appropriate pages and toss them in your bag. So at that point, some sort of map container. So they have these plastic containers, right, that you can put your paper maps into, and they make them significantly more water resistant. and I would do that. I would carry your maps, potential maps you're going to need, and then grab the ones you know, for the situation before you bug out, and put them in your map case, and then press on.
The highway, and you can go, it's gonna go here.
Right.
You know, so that way you can navigate a little better.
And I'm probably a little too dependent on my phone for that, and that's a good assessment. So yeah.
Yeah, so something a little more.
I didn't see a phone charger. In a situation where you're actually going to use your phone, and it's your maps, your communication, your, you know, maybe even your GPS and your compass, then that's the one time I could see the solar thing. But I would probably rely more on just an extra battery. So have you all seen these? I think they're actually pretty common. They're hard to get in Alaska because you can't get them shipped here. But, you know, it's a separate battery that's capable of charging your phone from 0 to 100% at least 2 to 3 times. I carry one of those, and I could also use that to recharge batteries that I use in my headlamp and other devices, my GPS. And I think that's more useful than a solar setup. So that's what I would run with, is some sort of a battery backup and the appropriate cords, of course. And that'll let you recharge your devices. And so it'd have to live in that little Faraday pouch for the EMP situation that the real Kirk is trying to anticipate for. But they hold a charge for a long time, and technology-wise, they're pretty lightweight these days. So I would definitely implement one of those.
Because you never know.
Right.
Phone might take a crap, or you might be lucky enough to have signal, be using your map, walk into an area with no signal, and then you change screens, and when you go back and try to refresh,
Your map's gone.
you've lost your map.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so the answer to that, what he just said, is you're utilizing your phone as your map, and then you lose reception, or your phone dies, or for whatever reason, right? You lose the screen that you're on. The way around that is to have an installed map. So I use a couple different ones. I use OnX Hunt. I use Gaia, and then of course Earth Map, which is the Garmin product that goes along with the Garmin satellite inReach device that I use. And all of those have the ability to download maps. If I can download half of Alaska, you can certainly cover whatever 50, 60-mile region you think you're going to be in. You could put several hundred miles, and that gives you the ability to go all the way down to great detail. So Rich is saying he's got one called an iWalk, super recharging capability. Yeah, there's lots of solutions, I think. And having an extra battery is a great way to go. And I think having the right app on your phone with the area maps downloaded are very useful. For me, I like having land ownership. So if I'm going to walk across everybody's land, I want to know who owns it. Because if I have the ability to walk on public land, I'd rather do that. And if nothing else, if it says so-and-so Joe Black owns the land that you're walking on, when someone confronts you, knowing whose land you're on might help the situation. You might be able to diffuse it and say, oh, hey, you must be Mr. Black. And then explain your situation, right? So land ownership is an easy thing to download for your maps as well. So I would definitely look into that.
Let's see. So you've got tools. Good. You got wire cutters.
Did anybody see a knife? I don't recall seeing a knife. Knife is like 99% what you need. Knife is the original multi-tool. A proper, strong knife. They don't have to be expensive, but they certainly can be. Of course, you could do the Rambo survival knife, right? That turns into wire cutters and has a little floating compass on the handle and all that stuff, gimmicky stuff. But there are some very good purpose-built survival knives that work well. I'm always pretty happy with a good old K-bar. I have a couple of those. I have some good large buck fixed blade knives. What else do I like to carry? I gave my daughter a Bear Grylls survival knife, which looked to be a knockoff of a Gerber LMF, which I like my Gerber LMF. Doesn't hold its sharpness very well, but it's a pretty good overall. It's just really heavy. You could throw it at somebody probably. And then you don't have to be any good at knife throwing because it's so heavy, it'll just knock them out no matter how you hit them. But a seal pup, I love a seal pup. Makes a great field knife. What else? Yeah, throw that in the comments if you have a good knife recommendation for the real Kirk. I like something long enough that it can double as a machete or a hatchet, and thick enough. So, trying to remember I like those Swedish knives, and they make, what's the name of those? Somebody help me out. They're easy to sharpen because they're only sharpened on one side. So they're very easy to sharpen in the field and double up and then they're very strong, and they make a thick one, and then they're not very expensive. So, all the right things. Kirk needs a fixed blade knife. What else? What else is he missing?
Saw. I don't see any knife.
Oh!
Okay, so you will have, you'll have your pocket knife.
But it doesn't matter. The pocket knife's not going to do it.
So yeah, those things, because you need to be able to make tools, make barriers,
Right.
Defeat barriers. And then I was going to say gloves. You're going to want to protect your hands. Now I have.
That's not the one I'm thinking
pairs
of, Rich. Rich McDonald just says Fiskars. Fiskars makes some really cool stuff. They make a little hatchet that you could even throw in there and use. I've used it to help skin out a bear.
Really fast.
Fiskars makes some awesome lightweight polymer stuff with some really all-weather, strong
light source. You only have a
metals.
light source.
Correct.
Which is a headlamp.
Right.
Well, technically, if he has his phone, he's got another light source, right? Again, this is an area-specific thing. In Alaska, there's like the majority of the year that's really light outside, and if it's not that time of year, you're not going to last very long anyway in the severe cold of winter. If I was trying to walk outside right now in -20 and all I had was what I could carry in a small backpack, I'd be screwed. I'd be going far enough to get into some shelter and sit there. Yeah, I'm not sure about two light sources.
Which is great, but
should have a weapon light.
Flashlight. What about?
My normal EDC has a flashlight in it, so
that's what you're saying.
So there's some redundancy there, but
yeah, I don't see a weapon light on that carbine.
Look at maybe getting another light source in here. Okay. I think a lightweight, even if it was just another lightweight headlamp, that would be great.
Okay.
I like signal mirror if the goal is to be found.
And then carry your light with you.
Right.
This, I think I keep a hammock with my bag all the time.
Okay.
But I went to a secondhand store, found a trash tent, bought it for $4, threw the tent away when I walked out the door, kept the poles.
Okay.
And I just put the poles in there because you can use them on your hammock to help create a shelter.
Sure.
It's an idea. I haven't heard of that before. I don't think it's a bad idea.
I think the blanket.
I think you can make poles pretty easily in the field.
Or emergency blanket. It's redundancy, but it's also weight.
Sure.
That's where having a good knife comes in.
I would keep an emergency blanket.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it serves all those purposes.
Right.
So, and I just roll it back up and put it in.
Maracniv, isn't that the name?
Because you do have
Maracniv?
a lot of weight here.
Yep.
And
Mora.
from
Everybody
here
says
to the
Mora
big
knife.
city,
I think it's
I'll
Maracniv.
guess
They make a survival knife
80
that's
miles.
quite
Right.
good.
Yep.
to
That's
the
about right.
outskirts.
I have a couple of them. They're
Um,
like 30, 40 bucks.
40 pounds is a tremendous amount of weight
It's true.
for 80 miles,
It's true.
especially if you're going
See, I think, yeah, I would get rid of, well, first of all, I'd get rid of that ballistic panel. Really tossed on the carbine thing. I don't know if I'd carry a carbine. I think if I'm in a situation where I think I need to have a carbine, I'd be carrying it external. If I don't think I need it, I would just leave it in the truck. Yeah. I'd probably just go with an EDC. A carbine, I didn't see, I mean, we could go and try and look, but that looked a little long to me for close quarter stuff anyway.
to try to do it in any amount of time.
Right.
So trail hiking and all this, maybe this is just I'm weak. I don't know.
No.
But for me, a 24-pound pack
Right.
at 20 miles a day, what
Without
miles?
water.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
a
24 to
40-pound pack, I
26
probably
pounds
would not
and then
want to-
water.
Because you're not trying to completely expend yourself. You know,
Right.
you still have to. Be
I think he's got too much food. There was multiple packages of food, so I think the real Kirk actually carries enough to kind of cover his son and perhaps his wife. This is kind of a family outfit. That's too much food. I would bring like one pouch and tough it out because you're going to find stuff along the way.
to set camp, build a shelter, hunt, gather.
I also carry, a little granola bars, a couple of those like power bars. You're not out there for a good time. You're eating when you need, when you feel so drained that you can't think straight. Eat half a bar and then keep pressing. Other than that, one of those pouches is probably one a day is more than enough.
Fish, cook, do whatever. So you can't burn yourself every day. And the heavier your pack is, the more it's going to take you. And so you're not going to be able to travel very far at a time.
Right.
First aid, having a multi-purpose kit, like this ankle one, because maybe you got to put your pack down.
Yeah, the IFAC thing, I don't think we pull it all the way apart. I'm not sure. It's more, he's got more of a trauma setup. So he's plugging bullet holes and dealing with sucking chest wounds and things like that. That's more of a combat setup. I'd like to see some moleskin. I'd like to see ace wrap, the ability, maybe a SAM splint. I want to be able to cover trail injuries. So you twist your ankle, break a finger, stuff like that. You need to be able to solve some minor issues like, the duct tape will cover a hole in your boot, and a little bit of moleskin along with, I didn't see it. I would have at least one, if not two, spare pairs of socks in there. Good, thick wool socks. So moleskin, wool socks, and then some basic bandages. I didn't see trauma shears. I think trauma shears are one of the most important things to have in a kit, and they have a ton of uses. So I would make sure there's some trauma shears in there.
And so slap this on your ankle and you can go. Like if you're going to go hunting or foraging or fishing or scavenging or something.
I didn't see a fishing kit either.
So I think I would add to this, maybe not the ankle
Nice.
part, but just in the pack, would be some kind of a splint system.
Right.
Because if you're walking and you
Yeah,
F your knee
I like
up,
the SAM splint. It's
your
it's
ankle,
like a
something. Get some,
lead
like
or
SAM
something that's
splint or
moldable.
something, those foam roll splints.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And some muslin wrap.
Okay.
And just throw that in there.
Okay.
Couple easy things.
Yep. And that adds no weight.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
that's
it adds very little weight. They're reasonably compact,
yeah.
but if you ever need a splint, I don't know if you've ever actually tried making a splint out of sticks. Ugh. Not
Yeah,
the easiest
sucks.
thing.
About as good as
Fire
popsicle
starter,
sticks.
you've got plenty in here. I found what are my two most reliable ways to start a fire,
Sure.
and that's what I carry
Okay.
in my pack.
Right.
I mean, I've always, because
I like flares.
so I've always got a lighter.
So
in there.
to
I've
me,
always
the flares
but
multi-use.
I just, for my pack,
You
I
can
keep my two most reliable.
you can use a flare to start a fire. It'll light anything on fire. So I love that. Plus, flares are great to have if you need to signal for rescue or help or something. So I like that as a backup. And they make little pencils, small collapsible flares. So that's an idea. Another thing that I like to do too is if I'm in an area where I want to be found and I'm moving through the country or the woods or whatever, having a couple of glow sticks are awesome. And you can, even a small glow stick will make a very discreet light. You can kind of focus and funnel your light with some of that duct tape or electrical tape, right? You can have a lot of light or a very little bit of a light. So if you get a green one or a red one or whatever, right? I just wouldn't use white, but I love glow sticks. So I'd probably throw some glow sticks in there too.
Things that can start a fire.
Yeah.
Just because I'm always trying to cut that weight, cut that volume.
Right.
Because you never know along the way what else you're going to pick up.
Yeah.
What's that new thing you just came across that you need?
Yeah.
You don't want to be at 100% on your pack already.
Sure.
As far as the clips, sure.
Yeah. So did you catch what he said there? He said, don't fill your pack to capacity. Pick things up as you go. And I completely agree. If your bag of your minimum stuff and you've gotten it pared down to where you need to be, and it's full, then you need a bigger bag. You need a bigger bag. So you want to be able to grab stuff along the way, field expedient acquisitions. You want to borrow things along the way that are going to make life easier.
Well, that was the webbing, and I do need to put 550 cord in for sure.
You know,
Yeah.
where's your what are these for?
Right.
If you've got these, what's the purpose?
Right. Right.
So make sure if you're going to put something in here,
I leave mine
purpose,
attached
make sure you have
to my
everything you need
hammock.
to complete that purpose.
And the other thing too, as great as those clips are, you don't have to use a big heavy. Those are really heavy. The carabiners that he's pointing out, those are really heavy. I use carabiners, lighter carabiners, for attaching things and you know all the uses that you want a carabiner for. But you don't have to have them when it comes to tying your hammock. So you don't have to get something that's going to hold hundreds and hundreds of pounds. Just tie it. Just use rope, right? You can just tie a knot. To me, it's not worth the extra weight. I'd rather have, an extra 1 or 2 feet of some sort of cordage that's capable of holding that weight. It'll be a lot lighter than the carabiners. And then for me, I just use polymer carabiners for the general attaching stuff. You know, for me, it's always a Nalgene bottle. And then what's the other thing? My InReach or my GPS is always on one also. And so I ditch those aluminum ones and I put the polymer ones on. They're a lot lighter.
Which for these, yes, but this is heavy.
That's a lot of webbing.
Right. Well, I'm a large man, so I figure if I was going to...
Yeah, I get that. But I think there's a better way. That webbing is overkill for sure. There's too much webbing. You don't have to save the tree in a survival situation. You know, if you're out camping and having fun, yeah, let's not kill trees. But we don't need to use tree savers in a survival situation. So unless you have another use for that webbing, which I do, I wouldn't take that much. That's for sure.
A hammock, it needed to be able to hold me. So You know.
So,
'Cause he's calling out their
but yeah,
overkill
you can
carabiners.
try to double up anything that you have. See if you can
Should do two,
more than
three.
one thing with it.
Yeah,
Right.
two, three
You know,
purpose
I said
uses
with
for everything.
Again,
That's good
the
stuff.
weapon, excellent choice. Bring a rifle if you can,
Right.
but again, wait.
If you
and
think you're going
capacity
into a
for everything.
firefight, man, I don't
So
know.
You can get by with just a pistol,
Right.
and maybe
That's
a
where
little
I'm at.
training at the range and know how to shoot. Might do you just
The real
as well.
Kirk knows how to shoot. I
cooking and
think. I don't.
food,
We've only shot
perfect.
once or twice
Like, you
together. I
got
think he.
everything you need.
I think he knows how to sling lead down range. But that was pretty funny.
I guess.
Know how to
On the
shoot.
side there, did I see a bottle? Thought I saw it. Oh, you took it out.
Took it out.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say, yeah. As long as you have like
What's
a
he got?
bottle or something to store your water in,
Right.
that
The
is
Nalgene,
not
like I was talking
a
about.
plastic bag.
Right.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So
Well, and I have the bladder
well,
too.
you
so-
have this.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's also a bag.
Yeah. It's also a bag. Yeah, that's true. You're right. There's no good for scooping.
Yeah. No good for scooping.
Yeah.
You don't want
No
your
good for
dirty. You
looking
can't
at
treat
and
it.
going, yeah, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think you're good. I think if you just got a map,
I bet he could lose 10 pounds on that
550
bag.
cord, another light source, some kind of a splinting material.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Charger. So I
So I
have,
disagree with the light source.
Again,
I
with
think the
Northwest
headlamp's good
solar
enough,
chargers,
especially if you have a
super
weapon
valuable.
mounted light
They're
also.
great, useful. I can't rely on a solar charger.
Right.
You take the solar charger outside today, it's
Not
gonna
gonna-
take you a minute.
Not going to do me much good today, for sure.
So I have a hand crank.
Oh,
you can
okay.
buy. They're like little hand crank
Anybody else use a hand crank?
that you plug a USB cable in, and
Okay.
so
So I have I guess it's a hand crank. It's not in this bag for me. I take it on longer excursions and in motorized expeditions. But I have a wind generator, so you can set it up in between the trees and the wind will power it. And you can submerge it in a stream, which is actually the most efficient way to do it. You set it in a stream and it's a little wind turbine, and so it'll send out a charge. It can charge up to, I don't remember, like 5 or 10 amps on a USB type charger. And I just use it to charge my little portable power battery thing. It works great, but it also has an attachment that you can hand crank with. It's just the whole setup's a little heavy. So I have it for emergency use and convenient use on motorized expeditions, something off of a ATV. I used to carry it on the adventure motorcycle back before I ghosted it off a cliff in up in Northwest Territories. But, we failed in our invasion of Canada, but that's another video. I don't know. I have to look for these hand crank devices. I like the idea of it. I've only seen those hand crank flashlights and they were absolute garbage. So maybe
Whatever
somebody
device
does
you wanna
make a good
charge.
one.
and you sit there and just,
Okay.
and I mean, it's gonna take you a minute,
Mm-hmm.
but it'll happen anywhere.
Sure.
So day or night.
Okay.
I like
a good
glow
idea.
sticks.
That's a
And
really
I
good
keep
idea.
one of those with
Mhm.
my solar. I have a smaller solar charger, but
Mhm.
so.
Cool.
But yeah, other than that, I think this is great. I mean, you could get home with this
Okay.
for sure.
Good
I bet
stuff.
you ditch a
Thanks
lot
for
of
the
stuff
input,
along the
and,
way.
thanks for the suggestions. I'll definitely be adding those. And I think what I'm planning on doing is, I think now that we're rolling toward winter time, I think I'll roll the hammock out of the kit for the winter time, because you're going to be way less likely to be wanting to be in a hammock in the winter time. Because you said,
I like getting off the
temperature-wise,
ground.
if I have windbreak,
You just
other windbreak
have to put
options,
insulation
I'll probably
underneath
not carry
you-
that weight.
when
I'll
you
maybe
do that.
replace that with something else, as far
Yeah.
as other things to carry. But I'm trying to make it
I
so
like
that
wool
it
blankets
morphs a
also.
little,
They're really heavy. I don't know if
depending on
I'd
the
carry one.
Yes. Yeah,
And-
no,
but
in what you have in
I have a
your
really
bag,
lightweight,
I
compact
mean, for a
down
general
feather
bag,
blanket.
this will work. Now,
But
if we were earlier
it
this
has to
summer
be
when it's
water resistant.
116, there's some other things you would want to have.
right.
If
What?
we
Hold on, I missed
say
that.
we actually have
Other things to carry. But I'm trying to make it so that it morphs a little depending on the season.
yes, yeah,
And-
no, in what you have in your bag, I mean, for a general bag, this will work. Now, if we were earlier this summer when it's 116, there's some other things you would want to have in here.
Right.
If we say we actually have a real winter and it gets down to the zeros or below, there's some other things you're going to want to have in here.
Definitely,
but
definitely.
That's situational.
Yeah, and I think that, so like I bought a wool blanket. Right now I don't know where I'm going to put it. How, you know, I mean, you have to strap it to the outside, or it might replace. Yeah,
He needs to wrap it in that.
Yeah, it might be that, or you know, it might
tarp that he
replace the
has.
hammock during the wintertime. You know, that
Make
kind
like
of
a
thing. So,
bedroll.
yeah, there's some modifications already coming down the pipe, but thank you so much. Appreciate the evaluation. Thanks for the
Some
for
good
the
stuff
input.
there.
And,
that was helpful,
if you think of
right?
anything else last minute, don't hesitate to let me know and go, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you to get this too. So yeah.
Real quick, one thing I didn't notice.
Yeah.
Do you have a blood clotting agent?
There is quick clot. Yep,
quick clot?
there is
Okay.
quick clot in there, and there are 2 high fin chest seals in that kit as
Okay.
well.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, I was gonna say because
and in
I use C-Locks or that
C-Locks.
Celox,
Yep.
the little powder packets. Yeah.
Super dangerous stuff. Agree, disagree. You're on a ticking time clock once you use a clotting powder like that. You've got to get to medical care pretty quickly. It's not good stuff to do anything other than an absolute save somebody's life application, to which is what it's made for, and it works really well for that. If you need to stop blood from coming out or they're going to die, then use something like Quick Clot, or as he's saying, the powders. I don't like the powders because even the original Quick Clot, when they put them into our first aid kits in the military, if you use it any sort of a breeze or whatever, right, this powder, it could fly over you, and I mean, you're going blind if it gets in your eye. If it gets, in the wrong application, it can really, really be harmful stuff. And so the new Quick Clot stuff, they come as Quick Clot impregnated bandages, and you just apply the bandage, and then it has the clotting agent in there. But the thing is, once you put it on, it's not coming off. It's going to have to be surgically removed. And at that point, as I say, you started a clock, kind of like with putting on a tourniquet. Once you use it, you've got to get to the appropriately equipped and trained medical care. So it really starts the time. So I mean, why carry it then? Real quick in the chat, Rich McDonald says zip ties, and I completely agree. Zip ties are awesome. Not only will they stitch together the plastics on your four-wheeler when you crash it, they're great for making field expedient splints. They fix gear, when your bag rips or falls apart or whatever. They're good for that. They're good for holding your pants together. They're good for so many things. If you carry the right ones, they can work as a restraint device. There's just no end to the uses you can use zip ties for. And I would absolutely have a couple of different options when it comes to zip ties. Carry a few of them. They weigh like nothing. What else we got? One of the Facebook users, it says, I can't see who it is. I can't see who it is. Says duct tape can be moleskin. I wouldn't, but it probably could be. I agree, I guess. I don't like it. I don't think I would do that. I think he's joking, though. I can't tell. Sam splints. I totally agree. The Sam splint's a really good recommendation. You can cut them to size too. I have a couple of them, and one of them I cut down because they are really long. I probably bought the wrong size, so I made it a lot smaller because I really just want to be able to immobilize a joint. So wrap an ankle, something like that, so I can shove it back in the boot and keep going. But let's see. There's a couple seconds left. Let's see what else he has to say.
So you want to make sure you have some kind of a blood, stop that bleeding.
Yeah, man. Okay, thanks a lot, brother.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Okay, so that's
all right. So
that's the end of that video. Let's okay. So Great video, great input. I think there's some really useful information there, and a couple of comments. Especially Mr. Rich McDonald. Thank you so much. Excellent points that he shared. Um, Hopefully, the real Kirk, when he watches this, of course, he's better be watching it right now. But when he comes back and edits or whatever, hopefully, he doesn't get too hurt over our suggestions. But he's got a really good start. I probably would drastically change a couple of things, and I think the uh, gentleman um, who shared gave some very good input. That's pretty useful. And so that's a get home bag analysis, and that's kind of it for this week. We're gonna wrap it here. I think the plan next week is we're gonna try to pre-record a video. I'm not sure if that's gonna happen or not. It's Thanksgiving next week, and I don't know where I'm gonna be yet. So I may show up in the bunker at least. So if you're a member of the Prep Pastors Podcast Patreon membership. I think entry level membership is $2.95 a month. And so it's a pretty low barrier to entry, and we hope that it's achievable. If you really want to be a part of this community and you just can't afford the $2.95 a month, let us know. We have some individuals who's offered to scholarship. So, especially if you're a military veteran or member of the law enforcement or first responder community, I believe we have multiple um, individuals who have expressed intent to sponsor um, individuals of that type who would like to be a part of this community, and we'd love to have you. So, this is the type of video that you do find in the bunker. We just figured we'd share it with you for this episode since the real Kirk was going to be out of town working on his bunker. And so, thanks for tuning in and putting up with me. Um, it's been it's been fun. It's been interesting. And now I'm headed over to the Patreon bunker and going to interact with some of our Patreon multi-pass card holders there. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll make some announcements on the multiple pages and appropriate places of what's going to happen next week. But it might be something like this again before we jump into Chad Rudolph's um, "What's Left of My World." There it is, right there. Great book. So if you haven't bought them yet, make sure you get them all and start reading, because I think the next episode where we're together, we will be finishing up the book one. And then after that, probably in December, we're going to move into book two. So some good information. And, some of the stuff that we talked about today is in that book. Yeah. Some of I think, yeah, they talk about SAM splints, and they have tourniquets and individual first aid kits and get home bags and recce bags, and a bunch of that stuff's in there. So check it out. It's a good book. And of course, we're always encourage everybody to read Mr. Boyd Craven's books as well. He has a lot of these things that he mentions as well. And we've seen him implement and illustrate and put them into practice in his own life. Mr. Craven, excellent source in his books as well for some of these types of ideas and the practical or potential applications of them in scenarios. So thanks for tuning in. We'll go ahead and do an outro on the way out, and then we'll see y'all in the bunker. I'll be in there as soon as I can get it started up, and we'll be having a good time in the bunker. We'll do our EDC drop and maybe have another discussion of what you would do different about the real Kirk's get home bag. So have a good one.